What's good, people? Thank you as always for passing by the channel. Much appreciated. Before we get started, let's have a drink for this video. It's weird how a few people have watched this. A few of my friends have watched this video, and all of them have been saying I'm coming around for a bit of monkey shoulder. I'm like, fuck off. No, you're not. No, you're not. Literally, you ain't coming around for no monkey shoulder, my friend. You might get a glass of wine and some Jack Daniels, but you're not touching the monkey shoulder. How's everyone's Saturday doing? Hopefully you've had a good weekend so far. I remember when I used to, this has absolutely nothing to do with the video, but I remember when I used to do a 9 to 5, as I'm guessing 95% of people do. Fingers crossed you enjoy and love your job. I remember doing a 9 to 5, and it was around this time, Saturday, unless I was going out the next day, unless I was going out in the evening, but it was around this time, Saturday, that I'd always start thinking about work on a Monday and feel thoroughly fucking depressed. Not joking, like thoroughly depressed, thinking tomorrow's Sunday, which is almost a meaningless day, really. Well, it was then. And I remember thinking, fuck me, Monday's coming already. Monday's coming already. I went out last night, me and a good friend of mine. She's probably watching this video, so I don't want to be too rude, but the fucking bill was frightening. You know when you get home, I don't know if you've ever done it, where you try and impress, not really impress, because me and her are quite cool now, but you get home and think, for fuck's sake, that bill, that's how I felt. That's how I felt. Anyway, let's talk about Anthony Joshua for a few minutes. I need to do a podcast because I have so much other shit to say about other than boxing. But let's talk about Anthony Joshua. I was just reading a statement from Dillian Whyte with regards to the low ball offer he got. And I was, as I always tend to do, watching a few other people's videos on the subject, right? I watched Hatman's video on the subject. A few people, read some tweets, read some articles, and I've come to my own conclusion. Obviously, I've done my own video on this subject, but I've come to my own conclusion, which I shall give after a couple more sips. The problem in all this equation might just be Anthony Joshua. I know, I said it. Yes, the fanboy Ade has finally criticized AJ, which isn't true. I criticize AJ a lot. But I think since the negotiations started, whether or not we can even call it a start, a lot of people have made videos, including myself, dissing Eddie Hearn, really going into Barry Hearn, the accountant, Barry Hearn, the money grabber. And I think we've kind of held back on AJ a little bit because we just assume that AJ is a fighter, right? And would want to fight everyone. And that is still true, by the way. I still have that sentiment that fighters will fight anyone. The only thing that stops fighters from fighting other people, well, there's a couple of things. Number one, is the fight right for them? That seems to be an option or an excuse used a lot. Not ready. No one really admits that, but really true, that's a reason. But I think the biggest one, no doubt whatsoever, is that the money. And there's a lot of that when it comes to AJ fights. Anthony Joshua, whether you're a fan of his or not, and I think most of you guys know that I'm a fan of his, has the power, the supreme power to make any fight he wants. If AJ wants to fight Deontay Wilder, that fight happens tomorrow. If AJ wants to fight Tyson Fury, that fight happens tomorrow, because boxers fight for money. They might say stuff like belts and legacy and all that other bullshit we hear, which is sometimes true, but 9 times out of 10, it's about money, right? You wouldn't want to get punched in the face for legacy. You want some money to get punched in the face for. AJ can offer Wilder and Fury life-changing money so they make that fight happen tomorrow, right? Unless they're contractually obliged to do other fights. But if everyone's kind of free, AJ can say, you know what? We'll do that fight tomorrow. The reason these fights aren't happening tomorrow, and it's very simple now, and I don't know how I've missed it for so long, or how I've maybe skimmed over it because I'm an AJ fan. The reason these fights aren't happening is because Anthony Joshua simply isn't willing to offer these guys enough money. That's it. It's simple. That's it. It isn't because AJ's scared he'll get knocked out, or Fury will do this, or Wilder. It's because AJ simply isn't willing to offer these guys enough money to fight him. And I think the light bulb moment hit me when Dillian Whyte said that he got a low ball offer from AJ. It's not from Eddie Hearn, it's from AJ, right? Because AJ is the one that pays the checks here. AJ. That's the reason these fights aren't happening because AJ simply doesn't want to pay them enough money to fight. And look, if AJ thinks he's worth 70, 80% of the lion's share, fair enough. But the fact remains, these fights aren't going to happen unless AJ reduces that. It's just that simple. And I'm not saying reduce it when it comes to Dillian White and the other names out there, but I'm talking about reducing it when it comes to Wilder and it comes to Fury. He just won't do it. And I've seen a few interviews, especially the one he done on ESPN Thursday, where he said everyone's kind of got to know their worth. So it's almost as though he's saying that I'm worth this and they're worth that. And I get that. But what I'm trying to make everyone know is that these fights aren't happening because of AJ. These fights aren't not happening because of Eddie Hearn and everyone else thinking Eddie Hearn's doing some sort of scam and trying to milk AJ for as much as he can. No, Eddie Hearn has clearly said it to us, and he said it on a few occasions. I work for Joshua. AJ runs the show, people. He runs the show. And if AJ isn't willing to part with a few more millions to make a fight, the fights just ain't happening. I think AJ has this persona where we don't look at him as a money grabbing person, right? We wouldn't look at AJ the way we look at Conor McGregor or Floyd Mayweather, but he might just be like that. And look, I don't blame him. He's put himself in a position where he knows he's clearly the big A side. But the fact remains, his ego might need to drop a bit to make these fights happen. This isn't the first person to talk about money now with him. Deontay Wilder mentioned it in terms of AJ offering him stupid money. And now Dillian White said it again as well. AJ offered me stupid money. AJ's got to be a bit careful here. What he doesn't want to happen is a situation like the 1st of December, where you're in negotiations with someone like he was with Wilder. The person just bells because they think, fuck it, and then they make another big fight happen. And Wilder versus Fury turned into an almost super fight, and the rematch is going to be even bigger. The rematch is going to be bigger. I know a lot of people were laughing about the pay-per-view numbers. I think, what was it, 400,000, wherever it was. It could touch 1 million this time. So AJ's got to be careful because he's still the man, but in terms of the best fights in the heavyweight division right now, he's on the outside looking in, where he should be on the inside looking out. And he's not on the inside looking out because it clearly seems as though he has a percentage that he thinks or knows he's worth, and he doesn't want to go lower than that. He might have to go a lot lower than that to make these fights happen, because if they don't happen, ultimately, right now he's okay because all the blame seems to be going to the Hearns. But ultimately, it's going to turn and it's going to come on him soon. And I'm doing a video suggesting it's already starting to come on him because I'm starting to see fan interaction on Twitter. So, like I said in the thumbnail, the problem might just be Anthony Joshua here. And I think he's going to have to realize that he might be the problem very, very soon before people start to go a bit stale on him. Maybe not the casual fans, but the hardcore boxing fans will go stale on him very, very quickly.